everyone, and welcome to today's webinar session, What's New in Work Packaging? Lessons Contractors Have Learned at the Job Site. For our agenda today, first I'll go over our safety moment, introduce our speakers, Ron and Mike, and then we will begin our conversation on lessons contractors have learned while on the job site and using or implementing a new technology. We'll have a brief question and answer session after the presentation via the chat feature on our website that you can find at o3.solutions. Every registered attendee will receive a copy of today's presentation slides and a link to the recording via email within 2 business days. We will also post today's webinar recording on our website along with previously recorded events that you might want to check out in our education session. So to get us started, our safety moment for today is all about sun safety. And at O3, we really like to use safety moments that are near and dear to us and personal. Disregard the not socially distanced beach setup over here. That definitely looks different in the era of COVID, but it does make me cringe just a little bit. But it is a good reminder of those of us that are spending time more outdoors, getting that vitamin D, some reminders that you want to keep in mind for sun safety. So one way that a lot of people keep themselves safe is using sunscreen, which is great. There are also a lot of other options out there. There's some new SPF shirts and hats available, as well as some other items that you can use. If you are going to use a sunscreen, make sure that that SPF factor is at least 15. And keep in mind that you can see in the stat on the left of the screen that your skin can actually be damaged in as little as 15 minutes. So even just being outside for a brief time, you may want to use sunscreen more regularly. One thing that you want to keep in mind as well is reapplication. So my dermatologist recommends that you use about an ounce or an ounce and a half of sunscreen reapplied each hour, and that is to make up for any kind of, you may sweat it off, or you may be encountering water and it may get washed off, or just absorbing into your skin. So make sure that you remember to reapply. I also have a really bad habit of just throwing my sunscreen into a big basket on my counter. So a good reminder is to check the expiration date of your sunscreen and make sure that you have not gotten a bottle that might be expired. So shelf life of sunscreen is about 3 years. And while those of us who wear cosmetics do enjoy having some level of sunscreen in, maybe our lip balms or in our face makeup, just remember that that may not be the level that you need for the entire day. So again, using a higher SPF and reapplying more frequently will help you reduce the damage to your skin and hopefully reduce your chances of developing any kind of skin cancers or other ailments later in life. So good reminder, and hope that you are getting to enjoy those sun rays. So our first speaker I'd like to introduce you to is Ron Dardar. He is a project manager at O3 and has about 10 years of experience in the oil and gas industry. He is also he considers himself an agile enthusiast and a professional Scrum Master. So he has actually been certified in the Scrum methodology, and we're very happy to have him for today. So say hello, Ron.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. And Mandy, thanks for having me.
Great. Thanks, Ron. Just making sure we've got your audio levels checked. Our next speaker is Mike Hellinga. He is also a project manager at O3 and has 10 years in construction as well, 5 years in agile project management, and 5 years experience working directly in the construction software industry. We're really happy to have you here with us as well, Mike, and let's go ahead and check your audio and make sure we can hear you.
Hey, Mandy. Thanks for putting this together.
Yeah, so great. Thanks so much. Before we get started with our discussion, I just wanted to give a brief overview or introduction into O3. O3 is a modern SaaS platform that leverages advanced work packaging and agile methods to disrupt the status quo for companies in industrial construction. And what we're trying to do is help companies who want to improve productivity, safety, quality, and predictability. O3 has experience with projects and portfolios ranging in size from as small as $1 million in total install cost all the way up to multi-billion-dollar joint venture portfolios. We're really proud to be involved with organizations as well that are advancing AWP in the industrial construction space, like CII, the Construction Industry Institute, and FIATEC, and we present each year at multiple advanced work packaging focused events. So just to provide a frame for today's discussion, O3's solution suite is purpose-built for construction and addresses many challenges in the industry, including managing training and education across multiple companies, global task management, modern project management that supports an agile or an ever-changing environment, work packaging for the job site, and standardizing advanced work packaging from concept through commissioning for the entire organization. To support a crawl, walk, run approach, the solutions build upon each other as the company grows in maturity across their AWP or agile method programs. And we also have a field mobility tool to help track productivity and tool time so that we can capture the correlated benefits of those productivity increases and efficiency for those programs that we're implementing. Now that you've got a good feel for what O3 does, I'd like to frame up our conversation today. We've hosted webinars on work packaging from the owner's perspective to demonstrate how to achieve more visibility and accountability for their project performance. And we've also done deep dives into the technology side of AWP. Today, we'd really like to focus on how our contractor clients are using O3 to manage work packaging for their job sites. Some of the challenges we've seen while working with contractors are things like handling a large amount of manual processes, collecting information that lives in rear-facing reports, and those PDF reports that generally are out of date as soon as they're printed, collaborating across disciplines and stakeholders, accessing critical information that's often stored in multiple spreadsheets, different data systems, and even whiteboards, sticky notes, and in people's heads, and getting an accurate understanding of the status and progress of each work package and how the project is performing against their specific scope and schedule. Now that we've set the stage, we're going to begin our discussion. Our format today is going to be a little bit more of a conversation rather than maybe like a product demonstration or a straight up PowerPoint slide. We really want to have a conversation with our project managers on how contractors are using different tools and capabilities to move to a more digital environment. We'll touch on each of the topics you see here. Each discussion area will be based on real life interactions with our contractors managing projects using O3, and we're happy to have direct project managers that work with our clients with both Ron and Mike. So with that, we'll get started. Ron, are you there?
I am.
All right, great. We'll go ahead and jump into the first question we'd like to address. Our first question, Ron, is for you. When a contractor gets a project set up in O3, we encourage them to identify any risks and then continue to monitor those risks throughout the duration. Can you tell us how O3 helps contractors manage risks on their projects?
Yeah, that's a great question and one I'm excited to answer. So identifying risks is something that happens early in the project, and each group definitely owns its fair share. And one of those groups is the contractors. Risk identified typically populate your risk register, which we refer to as your risk log in O3. And this is where the management of risk happens. We all know that risk can change over time and new risk can be identified at any phase of a project. So it's important to have it easily accessible by the team. I had a client that I was actually working with that was using an outdated risk management tool. It was clunky, it wasn't very user-friendly, and the project team was pretty resistant to want to get into the tool and manage and update their risk because of the hassle that came with doing it. But using our intuitive and elegant UI in O3, anyone can access O3 with proper permissions, of course, and they can update and add risk at any point in a project. And this is something that is really important to me. As a PM, I want as much information to live in one place as possible. I don't want to have to swap between, several tools to manage my projects. And I know contractors feel the same way. So now contractors are not only using O3 for the management of work packages and constraints, but they can also use this for the project management side, and that comes with action tracking and risk. I've also seen contractors utilize O3 during like quarterly risk meetings and monthly risk update meetings, where they can look at outstanding risk and they can, define consequences and causes, and most importantly, build preventative and recovery action plans. These action plans can be assigned to the members of the team, and they can ensure that these risks are properly mitigated.
Thanks, Ron. It's really great to see what our contractors are able to do now that they're capturing risks directly into one system. So let's talk a little bit more about the execution phase and how contractors are using O3 in installation. Installation contractors are focused primarily on the scope and schedule for their portion of the project. Mike, can you talk to us a little bit about how contractors use O3 to create installation work packages or IWPs across multiple disciplines?
Yeah, of course. So O3 actually makes creating IWPs very simple. It is a cloud-based application, so they can create these IWPs from anywhere, but it also helps to make them very consistent. Not just limited to pipe or steel, and it's just as easy regardless of the size of the project. First, it's important to know that the ability to create and access IWP information can be controlled by the admin users, the administrative users. So a contractor will only have the option to create an IWP if you allow them to. This access is also going to be based on the contract or contracts associated with the contractor. So if they only have access to a certain discipline, they will only be able to create IWPs under that discipline. If a contractor does have access, they can easily create an IWP within O3 by navigating to the installation work packages section and then clicking the add button. Then they'll fill out a small form and an IWP is generated. Now the admin user also has control over how much info is required when creating this IWP. In my experience from the several projects that I've helped configure this, this form is usually very simple, only including the construction work packages or CWPs, the planner user, and maybe a few other fields. The main reason for this is it can be so simple because O3 automatically inherits many fields already included in the CWP that was used to create the new IWP. And this includes disciplines. So if they only have access to a certain CWP because of that contract, they can only create IWPs with a certain discipline. An IWP can also be created in other systems and imported into O3. However, the same fields will be required regardless of how it's created in the application.
Great, thanks for that detail, Mike. Ron, this next question is over to you. So, as many of our listeners are aware, O3 got its start helping project team members manage constraints. Can you tell us how contractors specifically use O3 to manage constraints on their jobs?
Absolutely, and this is something that we actively encourage. Contractors should have shared ownership of these work packages and be empowered to clear constraints. In our industry, I do believe that level of autonomy is still being learned, but I can definitely see us trending in the right direction. But some owners feel more comfortable confirming work packages are cleared of constraints before these are released to construction. The good news is O3's configurations can support contractors' ability to clear these constraints while giving the owners the level of oversight that they are comfortable with. A specific example of this would be using O3's approval workflow. So even though contractors have the ability to clear constraints, we can set up auto-created approvals that can be triggered to go directly to the owner, so that way they can confirm that the work package is indeed clear of all constraints before it can be transitioned to approved for construction. The good thing is, I think this definitely helps also with the communication between the contractors and the owners.
Yeah, that's well said, Ron. I think it's also important to point out, since contractors may have multiple constraints assigned to them across multiple work packages, O3 does make it available all in one section called My Actions. So a contractor, they can find and manage any item assigned to them in this section, making it simple to stay on top of all these constraints.
Thanks for adding a bit of color there, Mike. I appreciate that. To continue the conversation in the constraint process, Mike, what challenges have you seen with contractors and managing the workflow of constraints?
Well, one of the main challenges that I've seen is the consistency and the type of constraints and when they need to be completed across the different work packages. So O3 can handle this by automatically creating the predetermined constraints with an assigned due date during the appropriate phase of the work package. So that could be certain constraints created in different statuses that will be consistent across every IWP or every other type of work package. However, another challenge that I've come across is the ability to capture accurate dates in the life cycle of a work package. This may not seem like a workflow issue. However, with the ability that O3 can provide to automate work package status transitions, we can actually capture the date that an IWP is, let's say, approved for construction out of your contractor's hands.
Yeah, I can absolutely see the value of automation, but we don't necessarily want to take everything out of the contractor's hands. So when we talk about putting the power of O3 into a contractor's hands, I immediately think about field mobility and using mobile devices to collect data directly from the field. Ron, what challenges have you seen with adopting technology and providing mobile access for contractors?
The common issue that I've seen with both is accessibility. All too common, I find Excel or Word being used to capture and share data. This makes for a complicated worksheet with tons of rules that most people on the project don't understand, which means only a handful of people actually update the forms. However, I don't believe that this is something that can be corrected just by teaching people how to use these forms, because typically this is only accessible by a short list of people anyways. This leads to a much larger issue. In all of my projects, this lack of access creates a bottleneck, causing delays in work or in progress reporting. What O3 brings to the table is our mobile application. Our app has easy to use forms. With a handful of clicks on an iPad, the data is collected and synced to the cloud, which means it's accessible on the web version of O3. In moments, this data can be accessed, and users can actually see that data and benefit from the out-of-the-box graphs, charts, and reports that we offer. A specific example of this was when I was working with a client to establish tool time productivity. And before O3 got involved, their process was very manual, so manual to the point where there was a person collecting observations with a pen and a piece of paper. They would bring that pen and a piece of paper in, and they would either dump it into a spreadsheet, type it in, or give it to someone with an administrative responsibility, and they would input it. Then that spreadsheet would go to someone else. They would take all the spreadsheets that are collected, put all that data together, make sure it's correct, and do some type of reporting. By this time, that data has exchanged hands 3 or 4 times, which drastically increases the chances of inaccuracy and some data loss. The example for that is if you ever played the game telephone and you start a phrase on one end of the room and you kind of whisper it, and then it goes to the next person and you continue to do that, typically the phrase that you get at the end isn't the phrase that you started with. And this same thing can happen to data, especially when you have a lot of manual exchanges like this. With O3, the data is captured in real time, just in a few clicks, and it's almost immediately available and accessible for graphing and charting, but most importantly for the decision making that needs to happen on the project.
Yeah, that's great. Definitely having access to data can help with decision making. So speaking of data, we have now talked about all of these ways that we can create and collect this data from the field and at the project. Now that we have all of that data, my question to you, Mike, is how do you use the data that you've collected and how do we make it more useful? Can you give us some insight into how contractors have improved data mapping?
Yeah, that is a great question because O3 has vastly improved data mapping on every project I've worked on. When I'm first brought onto a project to implement the use of O3, I have to hold many conversations to discuss the current process being used to get data to your contractors. And as Ron mentioned, this is a lot of paper or Excel or Word documents. Now, this causes for some serious delays in accuracies in data, both of which can cost a project a lot of time and money. The first issue that O3 will help with is the accessibility. Since O3 is a cloud-based application, anyone can access it anywhere in the world and have real-time data in their hands. There's no more waiting, and everyone is working with the same data. Secondly, O3 is going to expose errors that already exist in the data and provide for a more complete, accurate data source.
Yeah, it's been really exciting to see some of the improvements on data structure and real-time data collection with our installation contractor clients. Ron, let's switch gears a little bit and talk some about our engineering contractors for a minute. So on many of our projects, construction contractors and engineering firms need to interface to share drawings and deliverables that may impact the schedule or path of construction. What challenges have you seen introducing O3 a bit earlier in the process with engineering?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is how good engineers are at Excel. I've seen some of the most impressive and complex spreadsheets used by engineering firms. These spreadsheets have been used on countless projects, so I understand whenever it comes to transitioning to a new tool, people tend to want to be hesitant and use what they've used in the past. And I understand change is scary, but I think about the number of wasted hours that are spent maintaining the integrity of these spreadsheets. Using a modern tool like O3, we have the ability to consume that data, and we can offer out-of-the-box reporting that can be produced in just minutes. So you know what they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, or I guess in this case, 1,000 rows in a spreadsheet.
Indeed. Now that we've covered contractors in the field and in the engineering office, let's discuss some tracking and managing work packages for any type of package. There's a difference between work package tracking and true work package management. Mike, can you talk a bit about the improvements you've seen with your contractor clients when using O3?
Yeah, well, this is a long list, Mandy. But I think I can simplify it to this. The entire process and expectations of the contractors are drastically simplified. Because O3 can automate a large part of work package management, contractor will know what is expected of them every step of the work package lifecycle. If the work package is in the status, say in development, O3 will give them a list of items to check off to determine it has been developed. Once they have checked off each item, the work package will automatically transition to the next status where they will have a list of constraints to assign to other users or complete themselves. Now, this may not be every project's workflow, but with the many different configurations available in O3, we can help tailor it to match any project workflow.
And it's, I believe it's worth pointing out, this package management process can be applied to any of the 9 package types that O3 supports today. With all the concepts that we've covered, it's clear that contractors are really making advancements with using technology to manage their work package process. There are a lot of changes coming at contractors these days, from introducing advanced work package methods or agile processes to providing data and visibility for work that's relatively new for these companies. So my next question is for the both of you. We also know that contractors have to deal with changes in the field regularly, as well as organizational changes. What have you experienced with working with our contractor clients, and how are they adapting to these changes?
I'll go first. So adopting these changes is a lot to ask, but contractors do seem to be up for the challenge. I have an example specific to adopting O3 for change management being utilized in the field right now. And it's around change orders on documents or drawings. So every project is going to have times when a drawing needs to be changed, and there should be a process in place to manage this. In this example, the project engineers actually create a DCN, a design change notice, in 03, and it's set as a predecessor to the drawings it is affecting. The number of drawings will vary, but by setting the DCN as a predecessor to the drawings, it automatically creates a constraint on all these drawings, and this also puts a hold on these drawings. As the drawings are corrected, the constraints can be cleared one by one, removing this hold. However, 03 also provides the option to clear the constraint on all drawings at once if the DCN is completed. This drastically reduces the time to complete these changes, but it also reduces miscommunication and possibly sending an IWP into the field with an inaccurate drawing.
Ron, what about you?
You know, I really couldn't agree with Mike more. I'm going to focus a little bit more on the organizational change management, and I'm personally impressed with the contractors and that we are working with and the effort that they're making when it comes to company-wide change management. Contractors are typically eager to participate in tools training and AWP training, and I think the reason for that is because they are the people executing the work, and they see the benefits of utilizing new tools and processes in real time. Contractors can definitely tell when work isn't properly planned or they lack the information they need to get the work done. At the end of the day, we rely on tools and processes to ensure that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed. So when we get buy-in from all levels of a project is when we can really see how productive contractors and the rest of the team can truly be.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Thanks to both of you for your insight on that. So thanks to Mike and Ron for joining me today and taking some time out of their super busy day as project managers to share a little bit of the experience they have working directly with clients. It's a unique perspective, and I'm appreciative that they were able to join us. So here is just a highlight of some of the things we've heard from our discussion today. Risks can be managed and added at any point in time with O3, which can be very helpful as you encounter a risk or continue to progress along in your timeline. Installation work packages can be easily created and managed throughout the life cycle of a package to make sure everyone on the project team is on the same page. Contractors have the ability to clear constraints and can automate part of the process to save time, while providing visibility back to the project leadership and to the client. Collecting productivity observations via a mobile device provides a level of standardization and eliminates those bottlenecks that we see of gathering data in the field. Accessibility to real-time data supports a more well-informed decision-making process, which in that case, everyone wins, the owner and the contractors. The O3 platform consumes data from those Excel spreadsheets that everyone loves and can also consume data from other systems. And that provides a holistic view of the project and the contractor's performance and progress against their goals. And lastly, O3 helps contractors quickly implement digital tools and help adopt new technology faster and manage the change process with their teams. So with that, we've wrapped up all of our questions that we had prepared for Mike and Ron, but I want to invite all of you to also submit your questions directly on our website. So you can visit o3.solutions, and as a reminder, there is no .com behind that, so that's www.o3.solutions. Mike and Ron are going to man that chat feature and will be available to answer any of the questions that you might have specifically about things that happen on your job sites. And as we close up for today, I want to thank Mike and Ron for joining us and everyone for just joining us together and listening and learning from each other in this different kind of discussion format. You are going to receive a recording of the actual final presentation and some of the slides. You should receive that within 2 days. And again, as a reminder, Mike and Ron are available for any questions using that chat feature on our website. We invite you to check out other areas of our website and our previously recorded webinars as well. You can see that in our education section. So with that, I want to say thank you to everyone who joined us today, and we really hope that you have a safe and productive rest of your day.